Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. This is it.
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nitty Delaney. So what?
Welcome along once again. We're delving into the history box and looking at Magic Alex, who of course was a friend of the Beatles, friend, cohort, guru to John Lennon, and general fuckwit. Is that a fair assessment? Because
No,
very little
I
of what
don't
he
think
came
so.
up with.
I think that he was a bullshitter, but not a fuckwit, because for a while he was on a roll. Who wouldn't want to hang out with the Beatles? If I could go back in time and someone said to me when the Beatles were like in their pomp, and I could go back to the 60s, which by the way I would love to do. I mean, if I could go back to a time before I was alive, I'd probably choose the 60s, which might sound boring to people, but to be honest, I don't want to go back to like medieval times. I don't want to go back I don't want to go and hang around with Henry VIII. Mainly because like the sanitation in those days was
just going to say sanitation.
It was
comes
awful.
down to that, doesn't it?
Everyone was dirty and smelly, mate. And also it was extremely violent. So for me, I've been asked on more than one occasion in my life, where would you like to go
Friends,
back to in
family,
the time machine?
colleagues.
Yeah. And I've always said the 60s because I think it was great. And if I could go back to the 60s and I had a chance to hang out with the Beatles, but they said the only way you're going to get in with them is if you like tell them that you have some sort of power over electricity, I'd go, listen, mate, I'll tell those cunts whatever I fucking need to tell those cunts in order to get inside the inner circle, because I just want to hang around with them. I want to be friends with the Beatles by any means necessary. That would be my attitude.
I'll tell them I've got a second arsehole, and if they give me 500 quid, they can have a look. If that gets them interested.
Oh my god! Last night, right, I was watching Kill Bill. You know that Quentin Tarantino film, right? It was Kill Bill Part 2, right? My daughter was watching it for the first time. My good wife and I are huge Kill Bill fans, particularly my wife. I think they're like her favourite films. And we were watching it, and there's a fucking I'd forgotten because I haven't seen it for years. There's a great fucking character. Michael Madsen's character is working in a really disgusting strip joint in the desert, right? And he's literally like their security, but also has to clean out the toilets and shit like that. Life's going badly for him. That's the point. And the guy who runs it is just like the best sleaze. You know when there's like a character who's only in one scene, but he absolutely almost steals the whole film, because he is the ultimate sleazebag strip club owner. So when we first see him, he's racking out 2 lines on a fucking mirror in his horrible little office out the back of the strip club for some woman who is obviously a stripper who he's trying to get in the knickers of. And he chops it out and he hands her the note and he says something like, "Come on, baby, be somebody." Right? But then Michael Madsen comes in, he's late, and he's coked up, this guy, and he starts fucking berating Michael Madsen for being late, right? And he's just slagging him off, saying how he's shit at his job. And he says something like, "You know what? You're about as useful as an arsehole here." And he just points to his elbow. It made me laugh so much. It's such a strange sort of like, I don't know if you call it a metaphor or what, but it's he says it really, you know when someone says something that's like completely strange, but they say it as if it's like a normal turn of phrase.
Yeah.
You know what? You're about as useful as an asshole right here. Michael Madsen just looks at him like slightly puzzled, but like, yeah, all right, I'll let that one go. But yeah, I would tell the Beatles that I did have an arsehole on my elbow if it got if I even got 20 minutes in their what do you call it, their sphere, their hemisphere,
their presence. Yeah, until they realised that you didn't have the second arsehole,
Sam,
and you'd probably be booted
it's
out.
come to our attention that you have been lying to us about this.
You've been
lying to the
Beatles.
You've been lying to the Beatles, and we do not like that. We've had a committee meeting.
Offence.
We've had a committee meeting, and We've been observing you, and we do not see this second arsehole which you told us about. So we feel very let down. Why did you lie to us, Sam? Why? And I'd go, all right, I'm going to tell you why, and you're not going to believe it, but I'll fucking tell you. All right, tell them we're desperate to know why you would lie to the Beatles. Right. Us of all people. We're just good, innocent men. We're simple minstrels.
We're just normal men.
Why have you lied to us? We're four of the normalest men you could ever meet. And I'll go, look, I'm going to level with you guys. Don't ask me how, but I'm actually from the future. And I've gained access to a time machine. And they gave me the choice of what era to go back to. And I said, I want to go back to the 60s. And then the reason I wanted to go back to the 60s was to spend time hanging out with you guys. And to be honest, I've come back, the year's, 1968, right? It's 1968, and everyone wants a piece of you. It's very hard to get into your inner circle. So I thought, I'm going to have to lie my way in. So that's it. I lied my way in, and I'm sorry, but that's what I did. But you should be flattered, because those are the lengths I was prepared to go to. And I go, hang on a minute. You expect us, but at first you tell us you've got a second arsehole, and now you're telling us you're from the future. Why on earth should we believe anything you say? I'd probably go, they go, how did you get access to a time machine? Did Magic Alex make it? And I go, yes, that's it. Magic fucking Alex made it. Oh, now it all makes sense. Well, now we believe you. If Alex made it, then, yeah. I mean, Alex, I've always suspected he's from the future. You must be a pal of his. Yeah, that's right.
Whatever. So, we're sitting in the studio one night. The Beatles were complaining to each other about their lack of privacy when John, of course, was heavily into LSD at this time. John suggested they should create their own little kingdom, like an island where they could build houses and a studio and even a school. Julian could be taught alongside the children of Bob Dylan, who would be sure to join them.
I've had a great idea.
Bob Dylan, he'll join us.
Have you asked him?
I'll give him a ring.
Build the school first. I don't want to waste his time. He's dead busy. So I don't want to call him until we've got it all organised. So get this school built and get everything in place, and then I will call Bob Dylan and say, Bob, I've got a wonderful opportunity for you. Do you have a pen? Who is this?
He is sure to join us. At this point, Magic Alex's ears pricked up. There were, he volunteered, thousands of islands off the coast of Greece, and moreover, they were, inverted commas, dirt cheap.
Dirt fucking cheap. I tell you what,
are there thousands of islands off the coast of Greece?
There's fucking thousands of them.
There
right?
might be.
I'm telling you, half of them are available for no more than 10 drachma. Right? 10 drachma and a signed fucking frame picture of you lot. I'm telling you.
So the Beatles said to Magic Alex, all right then, Magic Alex, off you go to Greece then to pick the perfect island. Within 48 hours, he phoned to say he'd found a cluster of Aegean islands, one of 80 acres with a 16-acre olive grove and 4 secluded beaches, surrounded by 4 smaller islands, one for each Beatle.
Whoa. Wow. Seems crazy now, but at the same time, let's not forget, isn't it Mick Fleetwood and what's his name? They have 2 islands off Hawaii.
John McVie. They're like Hawaii now, aren't they? That's where they've got
in Hawaii, but they both have 2 separate islands, right? And they and they claim that they can wave to each other from the adjacent islands. Yeah, they do. And I can't remember, one bought one first, and then the other one said, "Oh, this is dead nice. I'm going to buy the other one, and then we can be neighbours."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You know, the Beatles didn't quite get it sorted, but Fleetwood Mac did.
Well, it's looking good because the asking price is 90 grand, which will have been a lot of money in the 60s, but, you know, the Beatles will have had that, I think. Magic Alex added in his estimation the profits from the olive groves would pay back the total cost within 7 years.
No problem.
So what's 90 divided by 7?
Listen, the world loves olives. And then, like, the Beatles I'm not sure. I think it's a passing fad. I mean, I've seen.
Britain doesn't.
But to be honest, I've seen them. I've tried one, but I find them very bitter and salty. And I'm not sure that I think this is one of those fads, like Dealy Boppers or something like that. I don't think.
No, listen, John. They say you have to eat 9 in a row, and then you get it.
I'm not. I don't know. I've got the most I've eaten consecutive. I saw Ringo eat 6 once, but he was very drunk and he vomited afterwards profusely.
And he swore he'd only eaten 2. He couldn't even remember 4 of them.
By the way, that reminds me of a fucking... I should probably save this for Friday, but that kind of... Oh, he was very drunk. Have you seen this Tory MP who's been suspended for... I mean, it's not funny, for like sexual harassment, right? Of course.
I'm aware of it, yeah.
And they go, he's also been accused of taking cocaine, and apparently they've got like video evidence of him taking cocaine. And he's been denying it, and then in the end they go, look, we've got fucking evidence, you daft cunt. And he's gone, yeah, all right, look, okay, fine. I did take some cocaine, but only after drinking some extremely strong Japanese whiskey. It says that in inverted commas, like it's a direct quote. He took cocaine, but only after drinking some extremely strong Japanese whiskey. I mean, how does that explain it away? Oh, okay. Well, if you'd said you'd been drinking extremely strong Japanese whiskey, then we could have avoided all this fuss in the first place. That's fucking a free pass. If you've drunk loads of really strong whiskey, anything that happens after that doesn't count.
Well, no, not Irish, not Scotch.
It was Japanese.
Though, yeah, understandable. Yeah,
it was Japanese, and God knows. Let's be honest. God knows what they put in their fucking whiskey. But whatever it is, I think we can all agree it's probably not natural, and therefore, I mean, the thing was, I didn't know it was Japanese. I was tricked. Someone told me it was Scottish, and that's why I felt relaxed. It was only after I'd had 5 glasses that someone revealed it was in fact Japanese. And by that stage, I already found myself with a rolled £20 note up my hooter, fucking snorting a load of Bolivia's finest.
There's a lot of a certain group of people who are asking a lot of questions about what's in the COVID vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody's asking about what's in Japanese whiskey, are they?
Yeah.
Like, that's the big question.
Or the other interesting thing is, no one's asking what's in cocaine. Because I'm pretty sure it's not...
Well, it's not cocaine.
It's not cocaine. Well, there's very little cocaine. And a lot of these people, like, what's his name? Who's the daft cunt who was married to Billy Piper, right? Lawrence Fox. Lawrence Fox, right? He's bang on the gear all the time
last seen burning the pride flag
burning the pride flag. And every time they see him... but the things he does, you don't even just need to see up his nostrils to know he's bang on the gear. I mean, no one burns a pride flag, or indeed any flag, unless they're fucking high as a kite on gear. It's the sort of thought you only get on cocaine, right? I'm going to burn a flag. I'm going to express myself via the medium of burning a flag. That idea only pops into the head of someone who's taken loads of cocaine, right? But they're all snorting coke. They're not fucking going mad at the dealer saying, what have you cut this cocaine with? Are they? But they don't care. They'll shovel anything up there. But if it comes to a vaccine, they're like, I'm not sure about all this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is it? Speed mixed with what? Sherbet dib dab?
Fucking baby laxative, brick dust, crushed up fucking crushed up paracetamol. Anything, and like, a fucking a pipette's worth of actual cocaine. It's all fucking placebo effect anyway. I remember getting fucking ripped off once abroad in a foreign city, and me and my mate both doing the first line, pissed off our nuts, realising very quickly that we'd been fucking ripped off by a foreign street dealer, and my mate just shrugging and finishing his line anyway, saying, well, it's placebo effect anyway. Sometimes just by snorting something white, it gives you a bit of a pick-me-up.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right, he's found an island for 90 grand, and the olive groves are going to make £13,000 per year. to pay for this island within 7 years. I mean, I don't know about the cost of building the schools and the houses and all that on the island, but okay. All 4 Beatles flew out to Greece. This is one of the lesser heard of incidents, adventures of the Beatles, isn't it? I mean, we all know about when they went to India to hang out with the Maharishi.
This was the tax bill years, wasn't it? Basically, all of this. Magic Alex is really, it's about their yearly accounts.
This is 66.
I mean, you got to remember, Andy. This is way before things like ISAs. Do you know what I mean? Like, nowadays, they would have just put a lot of their money into ISAs, probably.
Could have kept them together. Could have kept the Beatles together.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I know, if ISAs had only been introduced more. But back then, you didn't have an ISA, so you had to go off and fucking buy an island instead.
Yeah. So they flew out to Greece, unfazed by the new ruling military junta's ban on both long hair and rock music.
Wow.
That's a fucking hardcore junta.
Make a note of that for a future history box.
A ban on long hair and rock music. I was listening to a thing on Radio 4 recently, and it was, I forgot what the show was called, but there was a small feature about a group of, a teenage group who used to play in bars in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And it was in, where was it? It was Saigon, wasn't it? It was the big city where all the GIs would go for R&R.
Yeah.
They go when they get a bit of time off from the war. They go to Saigon.
Go and get their Prozzers and strong Japanese whiskey.
Yeah, and this group were playing the bars, and they play it like absolute sound replicas of American hits. They didn't know the words they were singing because they didn't speak English.
Right.
They were just learning it.
Brilliant.
And one of the kids had long hair, but he had to get a permit from the government to be able to have long hair.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. But also awful. Kids, grow your hair long. Just on the subject of Greece, though, I can't remember if we've talked about it, if it was you. I just really want to know more about Demis Roussos. Just a side note, I want to know more about Demis Roussos, and I would like to perhaps deep dive him.
We discussed this in the dressing room in Liverpool.
That's it. I just need to know more about him. He's an incredible guy. And
I'm just putting deep dive Demis Roussos.
I deem him to be a person of interest.
Yes, it will happen. I've written it down now. It's going to happen. But family connections Alex has got, and he struck some kind of deal with the junta in return for a form of diplomatic immunity. That sounds legit, a form of diplomatic immunity. The Beatles would agree to pose for a series of pictures for the Ministry of Tourism. John was warned not to criticise the junta. Just John. And behave himself. And Patty Boyd, who was George Harrison's girlfriend at the time, says, all I remember about the holiday is that some of us took acid and we didn't have to go through passport control because Alex's father was so important.
Fucking hell.
And John realised when he got there that he'd left his drugs at home. What good is the Parthenon without LSD? He complained. Yeah, I mean, loads of people said that over the years, haven't they? And Mal Evans was on board the next flight with the mislaid package of drugs.
Mal, we're going to need you to mule the drugs over to Greece. There's a chance you might be arrested at customs and thrown into a prison under the terms of the military junta, who are an extremely brutal regime. Is that okay? Aye, no problem, Gaffer.
Jalapeño.
Now, the Chancellor of the Exchequer at the time, later to become Prime Minister, James Callaghan, became involved in this escapade, in this scheme.
Often referred to, of course, as the fifth Beatle.
Yeah. So the Beatles' accountants advised against the purchase of the island, and arrangements to transfer the money were made directly with James Callaghan himself.
Wow.
At one point, he wrote to the Beatles informing them that 95,000 was the absolute limit he would allow to flow out of Britain.
Wow.
He's in charge of their fucking finances.
95 grand. This is not a penny more, and I'm fucking serious this time.
Sam, he used the phrase, not a penny more.
Really?
There's a quote here from his letter to them.
Brilliant.
Adding in his own hand at the foot of the letter, but not a penny more, ... I wonder how you're going to furnish it.
Cheeky cunt. Have you seen this letter from the Chancellor of the Exchequer? Cheeky bastard.
Taking the fucking piss.
That's like I read that book once, Stick It Up Your Junta, which is the history of the Sun newspaper, which is a fucking brilliant book. And in in the beginning it talks about this scene where I've probably talked about this before, but where Murdoch turns up at the house of fucking Lord such and such, like the drunken aristocratic owner of whatever, the News of the World and the Sun, basically, right? And they were going broke. So this fucking hotshot young upstart from Australia turns up and says, "I'm here to buy it from you." And they're like, "Well, how dare you come in? This grand family have owned this printing press for generations, and you're coming here with your Australian ways, your opish ways, and mean to take it over. This is a British institution." And Murdoch's sort of like, "Listen, mate, you know you need the money. You're fucked. This mansion's falling to pieces, and I'm your only option." So they go, blah, 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 blah. "We need some time on our own with our advisors. Wait in the hallway." And Murdoch goes, "Fine, I'll wait in the hallway, but I'll be needing a telephone." And they said, "Fine, the butler will fetch your telephone to yours." Or
a silver salver.
Yeah. So they go in with like some fucking advisor, right? And Murdoch's so confident that although they've given him a load of shit because they're snobby cunts, he knows they're going to fucking agree because he knows that no one else wants to buy it and they're going broke, right? So he gets on the he gets their phone, calls long distance, right? Which I think's a great Roy Race touch as well. He doesn't fucking ask. He's just like, long distance to Australia. Imagine how much that cost in the 1960s, right? Calls up fucking the Prime Minister of Australia, gets straight through, right? And he goes to him, I can't remember the amount of money, but let's say it's like £1 million or something. He goes, "G'day, it's Rupert Murdoch here." And he goes, "Oh, hello, Rupert, how can I help?" And he goes, "I need you to sign off a $1 million bank transfer to the UK today." And he goes, "It's a lot of money, mate. What do you need that for?" And he goes, "I'm about to take over the British newspaper industry." And he goes, "Good on ya. I'll sign it off now." Direct fucking call to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister signs off and says, "Get it over there." And then Murdoch goes back into the room and they go, "After much consideration, we have decided in retrospect we were rather rash in our first response, and we would like to accept your offer." And he's sort of like this, "Yeah, that's what I fucking thought. Don't worry, the money's on its way."
Fucking hell.
So some people wield that power, One day maybe we will.
Rupert Murdoch, imperial fears there.
Yeah. He was only in his 30s or something.
Yeah. So the problem about having to furnish the island, etc., was solved, it says here, by indifference. Having bought the islands, the Beatles immediately lost interest.
I'm not interested in this, really.
It's too far away. It's too hot.
It's too hot. And Ringo always took baked beans with him wherever he went as well, didn't he?
Beans everywhere, yeah.
It's so heavy, dragging all the baked beans all the way here. It's easier just to stay home and eat baked beans, if I'm honest.
All the toilets, they've all got bidets. I don't want to use a bidet.
I don't want a jet of water up my arse. No, thank you very much.
They never visited the islands again. A year later, they sold them for a profit of 11,400 quid.
Oh, not bad.
Brilliant.
Wonder who bought them. Branson,
well done,
probably.
Beatles. Yeah. Magic Alex was given his own laboratory called Apple Electronics. His pay rose to £6,000 a year, which equivalent of 110 grand a year in 2021. So that's not bad. He's done well there. I retract completely calling him a fuckwit at the beginning of this episode.
That's smart.
You're absolutely right.
It'd be like, but it's no different to like, say you get a call from some, podcast. Let's say there's a podcasting startup. It's fucking venture capitalist money. And they go, "We want you to be our creative director." And you're like, "What's that involve?" And they go, "Well, you do a Zoom meeting once a month and like give us some ideas of podcasts. We'll pay you 110 grand. You go, "Yeah, fine." But you're sitting there thinking, none of these fucking podcasts are going to succeed, but I'll chuck them some fucking ideas for 110 grand a year. Why not? Nothing wrong with it.
Not at all. I'm waiting for it to happen. Surprised it hasn't by now.
It will at some point.
Alex was involved in John Lennon's divorce. John Lennon suggested that Cynthia take a holiday.
Oh, this bit is awful.
Wife.
This bit is this for me. I found this the most troubling part of the whole. But I didn't know we were going to get onto this. But I forgot Alex was involved in this, and this is genuinely the most troubling part of the book. But anyway, continue.
He suggests Cynthia goes on holiday with Alex and Donovan and Patty
Donovan
Boyd
will
and her
go with
sister. Yeah, Donovan will go on holiday with anyone if you pay for him.
To be fair, he's a good laugh on holiday. He does the barbecue and all that stuff. And
He takes his guitar.
He usually takes with him a portable badminton set, and he's actually very good. So, I mean, last year we couldn't find two trees close enough together, so we had to just do a system where we lay the net on the floor, and we just had to agree about it clearing the correct height. He could be tricky sometimes, though.
I tell you what, I'm not going to go through this bit about Lennon's divorce because it's impossibly grim.
It's so grim, and it really...
Yeah.
In this book, it's a great book. We're talking about the Craig Brown 1, 2, 3, 4 book, by the way, and there's great Magic Alex stuff there, and loads of great whimsical little stories that you haven't heard before. But I think John Lennon comes out of it pretty poorly. I've always had my doubts about his character anyway, from bits and bobs that I've heard. And my mum, who, at times was on the periphery of the 60s scene via her Searchers connections, right? For instance, she'd gone to Ready Steady Go a couple of times, but like backstage and whatnot. Anyway, she go, the thing about John Lennon is, she went, I never liked him because he was really outrageously mean to his first wife. I think he was a mean guy. And this story, I mean, the summary of it is, we won't go into detail, but the summary of it is, he encourages Cynthia to go on holiday, but he says, I can't go, but I think you need a break. So he sends her away with a bunch of mates. And as soon as she's out the door, he moves Yoko into his house. And him and Yoko get into some sort of fucking weird acid-driven codependency. And when Cynthia comes back, Yoko's just there, clearly cohabiting, and they don't really offer an explanation. So Cynthia walks into her own house to find another woman's walked in. And Lennon...
this is how it is now.
Lennon's so under the spell of Yoko, he doesn't even make an excuse or explain it. He's just like, this is how it is. Doesn't even say sorry. And she's obviously heartbroken, and it becomes apparent to her that she just has to leave the house, her own fucking house. It's the sort of thing that happens in nightmares, but it happened to Cynthia Lennon. And it's not on, is it? Let's be honest, the bloke was a cunt.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. There's a bit here, I'm back on the Wikipedia page now. So he's on 110 grand a year from the Beatles. He made a TV promo for Apple Corps, which is on the Beatles Anthology DVD, which is the expanded version of the TV series. It's well worth getting it. You can get it for about 20 quid on DVD now, if you've got DVD access, which not everyone has. He did this promo. He's wearing a white laboratory coat in Apple Electronics with loud oscillating noises in the background, because of course that's what boffins have, isn't it, at all times?
Yeah, you have to have those. It has to sound like that thing in the TARDIS that goes up and down. You know the thing he's got on his big desk.
He says, hello, I'm Alexis from Apple Electronics. I would like to say hello to all my brothers around the world and to all the girls around the world.
Every girl.
Yeah.
And I do mean every girl.
Every one of them. Even Mother Teresa. And to all the electronic people around the world. That is Apple Electronics. He then turns and points at a collection of portable 2-track recorders in wooden boxes, a 2-track studio recording machine, voltage meters, hi-fi amplifier, an oscilloscope, and a TV screen showing pulsating psychedelic balloon shapes. Because, of course, that's what science looked like back then at electronics. A mysterious fire at the laboratory prevented Mardas from presenting his inventions. There's been a fire. I'm sorry, it's all gone up.
Bad news, lads. The whole thing's burnt to fuck. So I'm not going to be able to show any of it to you.
Mysterious fire prevented him from presenting his inventions, but he later said, I'm a rock gardener and now I'm doing electronics. Maybe next year I'll make films or poems. I have no formal training in any of these, but this is irrelevant.
I would love to do that in a job interview. I've got no
Absolute
formal
brass
training, but this is irrelevant.
But, next question. I don't know if we've got another episode in Magic Alex in us. I feel as though we've pretty much covered him.
Yeah.
Post Beatles, he got into the anti-terrorism industry with bulletproof vehicles, bugging devices, security hardware to VIPs. The former King Constantine II of Greece was his principal salesman. So he's working in cahoots with the former Greek king.
Did we ever do... I feel like we've done because this is reminding me of... Who's the con man who at one point ingratiated himself with the Blairs?
Peter... Fuck, what was his name again? He was going out with Sam Fox for a while, wasn't he?
Of course, yeah.
We were going to do him as well.
He could do anything he wanted. And so obviously, if any man had the power to do anything he wanted, one the top of your list would be date Sam Fox, wouldn't it?
Of course. Peter Foster. He used to be on That's Life a lot. He was making weight loss tea. Which didn't help you lose any weight.
Strong Magic Alex has got strong Peter Foster vibes, hasn't he?
Magic Alex is like a pioneer of Peter Foster.
It's his hero.
Yeah. The Sultan of Oman ordered 6 Mercedes limousines in 1977, but quickly discovered they were not as safe as he had been led to believe. His ex-SAS bodyguards tested one of the cars in the desert by firing guns at it, but a bullet hit an emergency air cylinder, which caused the fuel tank to explode, destroying the entire car.
Magic Alex is like this. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, anything can explode if you shoot it enough. I mean, you know, it's like, how long is a piece of string? Yeah. I mean, if you keep shooting something, even the most impenetrable thing in the world's going to explode eventually. So, frankly, I don't think that's a fair test.
King Hussein of Jordan had a fleet of cars that Alex had customised and carried out a safety test on them with live ammunition in November 1977. One eyewitness reported that the cars could be more life-threatening than ordinary vehicles as bullets easily pierced the armour plating and the thick armoured glass broke into jagged splinters when struck.
I came to you, Magic Alex, for cars that make me safe. But you tell me, car that make me more unsafe. This is danger car. Well, one man's danger is another man's safety, Mr. Oman.
Another man's excitement.
And I'm afraid, if you read the small print, I have delivered exactly what I promised to. So you're still going to have to pay me.
I'll say this. There's one thing to say about it. It's definitely a conversation starter at parties. You know, might not keep you 100% safe, but it'll break the ice.
And I tell you something else as well. I have had some previous clients who have had the same concerns as you, but you know, I say to them, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. One of them has turned his into a mobile disco, right? And he puts the speakers in the boot, right? And he's got like his turntables in the passenger seat. Another one uses his for children's parties, right? And the kiddies just get in it and play on it. Like it's, he tells them it's like a fire engine, you know. So there's all sorts of things you can do to recoup some of the costs.
In 2008, he won the right to sue the New York Times in relation to an article which said he was a charlatan. It ended up with, he didn't pursue the case further on condition the paper would publicly explain that by calling him a charlatan, it did not mean to imply that he was a con man. All right. Yes, I am a charlatan, but I am not a con man. I want to make that perfectly clear. Wonderful stuff.
Magic Alex.
Died in 2017 from pneumonia, age 74, after selling off a load of Lennon memorabilia in 2004.
I got a lock of his hair. I got a necklace. I got a piece of paper that he touched. He didn't write on it, but he touched, and I was there to see it. I've got a bottle of his breath. I've got a bottle of the breath that he exhaled when he was singing I Am the Walrus for the first time, and that's a fact. And I'll give it to you with a label on it saying that with my signature at the bottom, which serves as a guarantee of the truth.
I held it in front of his mouth while he was singing, and he sung right into it. So it's never been opened since, but if you open it up, you can probably hear him.
You can hear him saying it. It's a little bit of history, but don't do it, because if you do, it loses all its value.
That's it.
It'll float out, and that's it. You've lost your value then. But I remember he sang it into the bottle, and then I put a cork in, and he looked at me and he said, Alex, you can keep that, call it a nest egg. So that's what it is. And now I'm selling it to the highest bidder because I want to buy myself a boat.
Just quickly, we'll just end on this little bit of Alex trivia that I didn't notice earlier on. One of these first business ventures was commissioned for Alex to create one of his ideas, an artificial sun, which would light up the nighttime sky.
That's very Mr. Burns, isn't it?
Yeah, that was going to be for the opening of the Apple Core shop in December 1967. When the time came for Maras to demonstrate his artificial sun for the Beatles, he claimed there was not a strong enough energy supply to power it.
That's the problem. Great. Think about it. What's the biggest energy supply you can get in the world? The sun. But I can't have the real sun powering the artificial sun. They cancel each other out.
It's like infinity plus one. Doesn't make sense.
I mean, I could plug it into the mains, but even then, I mean, I put 18 fucking big batteries in. You know, the big ones that look like a box. Even that weren't enough.
Brilliant. All right, that's Magic Alex for you then. And we'll be back with something different next week. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.